AMA, and Ben has the first question. Ben, you want to verbalize your question?
Yeah, hi Sid. Sorry, let me just scroll up and find it again. Yeah, I hear you enjoy flight simulators, and I was wondering if you had any favorite planes you like flying on them, or airports you like practicing landing at.
Yeah, thanks for that. I mostly fly X-plane, and I mostly fly the Cessna 172 with the digital displays. And I tend to fly out of Palo Alto Airport, one of the airports near here and one of the busiest general aviation airports. You also asked about meals. You want to verbalize that? That's funny.
Sure, yeah. So I follow Matt Guff Miller on YouTube. So he vlogs about flying a single engine light plane around. And most of the time, it seems to me like he's going to airports to eat at the restaurants there. I imagine that's a bit of a drawback with a simulator, if that's just something you like doing, or maybe you just get a meal delivered.
Yeah, I maybe should follow the guy, but I haven't watched his channel, so I'm gonna watch his channel, and it's one of the ambitious, maybe like after GitLab, although I don't know when after GitLab will be, to take a pilot certification and spend some time flying around America with my wife. So, but I'm patient for that. Also, my wife doesn't have the time, and she'll probably be the better pilot of the both of us. Daniel.
Hi, Sid. Yeah, Daniel just started on Elsha's team on Monday. Yeah, my question is either personally or professionally, what has been the achievement or success that you're most proud of, and what have you taken away from that or learned from that experience?
Well, I'm incredibly proud of what we're doing at GitLab, and I guess one of the proudest things is that we've gotten pretty good at making all remote work. It was met with skepticism from our investors, although nobody said like, "Oh, this is not going to work." They were just like, "It's different," and I was really puzzling myself. Like, one of our sub values is boring solutions. So like, don't be different for the sake of being different or because it's interesting. So we didn't want to do that. On the other hand, we saw this was working, and we let ourselves kind of stay all remote. And I think that's the thing. One of the things I'm proud of, because it ends up working really well, and we might be the first public all remote company. So that and kind of be exploring a new way of working, and then that'd be a great outcome.
Thank you. So even if the company was to go public and say double in size, you still see the company always being remote?
Yeah, I think it scales a lot better. There's a page, we actually made a page about it, or Darren did, and you can probably find it by Googling GitLab all remote scaling. And the idea is, like, if you're co-located, that works great if you're 7 people, but it kind of the effect kind of dilutes the bigger you get. While many of the practices of all remote are kind of helpful to working in a bigger scale. So I think, although scaling is hard, and we it's not, as we get bigger, there's more communication challenges and things like that. I do think all remote is kind of a benefit instead of a drawback in the process.
Okay, thanks.
Nikki, do you want to verbalize your question?
Yes, I realized I asked a similar question yesterday, but this is a slightly different context. And I'm also curious about the second part. But what is your position on doing business with with ICE for people outside the US. That's US Immigration and Customs Enforcement is the first part. And the second part is, in your view, do the documented abuses of ICE violate GitLab's customer acceptance criteria? There's a link to that, but that's engaging in illegal, unlawful behavior, making derogatory statements or threats towards our community, or encouraging violence or discrimination against legally protected groups.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So we'll kind of make the trade-off kind of per customer. So and we don't speculate on who our customers are. This is a public live stream, so if you want to have the conversation specifically about ICE, you can go to our customer acceptance channel. I think that's the forum to have that conversation. In general, our mission is everyone can contribute. So we want the kind of the widest possible set of customers. Of course, we have to balance that with the laws, but also we have to make sure that people are not engaging in illegal or unlawful behavior. People are not a threat to our community, and that there's like no violence or discrimination against legally protected groups. So those are our four, I guess, criteria. And yeah, I don't want to discuss, I don't want to have the conversation about potential customers. And if it's about actual customers, I think we should have that conversation internally. So thanks for asking the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Francis?
Yeah, hi Sid, thanks a bunch. So I don't remember what meeting it was, but maybe a couple weeks ago or a month ago, you said something like the current GitLab product is really only like 5 or 10% of what it's going to become eventually. And I just find that notion so exciting. And I wonder if you could just share sort of what your vision is from the customer's perspective of the kind of the power of a single application that's 10 times as powerful as it is today.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think if you look at kind of running an application today, it's still a lot of work involved. I think the best way to run an application without a lot of work would be something like Heroku, and that has kind of two major drawbacks. Like you're not as much in control. You cannot determine like which cloud it's going to deploy to. And when you want to make customizations, you have to leave the platform. And the other drawback is that it's still pretty manual. Like if I push code to Heroku, it still takes time to kind of set database credentials. If I'm monitoring, I have to kind of ask for it. I have to like install plugins and things like that. So on one hand, we both want to kind of make it have a Heroku-like experience on any cloud. Bring your own cluster, whether the cluster is in your data center or any of the hyperclouds, and be able to move between the hyperclouds, which is a very hard thing. And the other thing would be to make it even easier. Make sure stuff works out of the box. Make sure you push your code and you don't just have logging, but you have all kinds of monitoring. You have all kinds of security checks. You get all those great things. So I think we still have a long way to go there. And another dimension is making not just great with like, I don't know, a Ruby on Rails app, but also making it great if you're developing for mobile or a .NET application or a static website or things like that. So I think in all those aspects, we can grow both like portability, ease of use, catching up to Heroku, ease of use, even getting better, and kind of running everything by default. So that's why I said I think we're only at 5 or 10%.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. William is not on the call, so I'll read his question. I seem to have deep knowledge in an uncanny area of topics. What does your process look like for learning new information, and how do you keep up to date on technical discussions? So I'm driven by interestingness, and so that's my kind of my algorithm, and I tend to read a lot. So during the day, I spend a lot of time reading, and that's in between meetings and also during meetings. I tend to see what's up, and sometimes it's like our thank you channel, sometimes it's Twitter, lots of sources, and then dive into the subject until it's no longer interesting. Question number 6 doesn't have an offer, so if the offer
Sid,
wants
that's my question. I think just due to some of the traffic volume, I wasn't able to type anymore. But
wow.
Yeah, started pretty recently as an SDR, and we're constantly going to events. And more than anything, I'm just kind of curious for you, also having probably gone to a lot of events, who some of the speakers that you found are extremely memorable, or if you were to go to another event or kind of look for speakers to watch, who would you end up looking for, or who you're constantly drawn to?
Thanks for that. I think I'm very interested in kind of macroeconomics and the study of progress, and the premier economist there is Tyler Cowell. So I always find his talks very interesting and insightful. So I'd invite him. Thanks, Alexander.
Yes.
You want to verbalize your question?
So I'm Alex, strategic account leader for EMEA, particularly in France. So probably because you're from Europe as well, Sid, in Southern region, we are very emotional. At your position as a CEO, I cannot imagine how much, I would say, stress or emotion, let's say, you are going through. And I would like to know how or what are your methodology to manage it all and to stay calm. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think so far we've been very blessed that we've never been at a super stressful situation at GitLab. Super stressful situations tend to be things like money is running out or something like that. And I'm not sure how well I will be able to deal with that. I've seen other founders go through that, and it's a big burden, and I'm not sure I'd manage well. As for the kind of the day-to-day stress, there's a couple of different things. First of all, you kind of learn that most things are like survivable. So you kind of by seeing more stressful situations, you learn, okay, I shouldn't be that worried because there's always a tomorrow. The second thing is that many times you're not responsible for the situation, and even if you are responsible, it's not so much that you have to fix the situation, but that you have to take the right actions. So kind of judging yourself not on like something is off from optimal, but like, hey, what am I doing about it? Am I taking the right actions? Those perspective that I'm still learning, but that's super helpful. also tend to kind of stop with like email and Slack at like 6 o'clock, and then trying to not go back to that later during the day. I think that helps.
So you switch off completely from 6 to...
Yeah, maybe not completely, but I tend to, if there's a lot of Slack still coming in, which tend to not be, but if it is, I put my phone on do not disturb, and people can call me or text me, but I'm not gonna, I try to not keep responding. Doesn't happen like that every night, but most of the nights I'm pretty good about it.
Okay. Thank you for your answer.
Thanks for asking. Danae?
Hi, Sid. Just wondering how your little kitty cat's doing.
Yeah, good. Maybe the shadows can chime in because they're in the room with Susie probably.
We just gave her a good patting yesterday evening, so I think she's doing well.
Thanks, Mac.
She's doing really good.
Is the meowing taken care of? Is she still meowing a lot, or how's that going?
She meows, so we're not allowed to pet her when she meows. So she's doing good though. So.
She's a big fan of the shadow program, that's for sure. A lot more attention during the day. Cool. Well, that was the last question, but some people, apparently the document is too popular. So if someone has a question, who weren't able to put it in or just thinking of it now, feel free to speak up. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.